Alright folks, in this video it's a bit of DIY with Descattys. So some of you on Instagram as well as on YouTube have asked me to show you the effort of my alcohol stove that I made. Now this is the finished product that I've obviously knocked up myself, and I've been using it for a really short while. I tried to use everything that was already hanging around in my shed, alright, or stuff, you know, like rubbish basically. Alright, so the stove itself, I basically used a piece of upholstery leather that I had knocking around in the shed. Paracord was obviously existing still in the shed as well. And then the actual stove itself, if I take it out of the bag, which I'm going to show you, that is the obviously the end product, as it were. What I did as well, because when I was using it, trying to blow it out with methylated spirits in it or bioethanol, what was happening was when I was blowing it, even with a quick sort of blast of a blow, it was still staying alight. So what I've done was I literally used another tin to make a lid to go over the top, that even if a little bit of flame does go out, it's a lot easier to extinguish that piece of flame than it is one if it's still got methylated spirits in it, or you know, your alcohol fuel of choice. Now the other one that I wanted to show you as well, again was made out of, you know, sort of stuff that was knocking around in the shed or stuff that was going to be thrown away, and that was a little pot that I made out of an old coffee tin. And this particular tin is by Illy, the coffee company, I suppose. And then what I did with this, I obviously used I had some wire in the shed. These little loops, or what I used to attach onto the actual tin itself, attach the wire onto it, and these came from something that was hanging around in my shed. The lid, what I am going to do, I'll put a couple of holes in it obviously to allow evaporation out of there so it won't explode when you've got water boiling in it. At the moment I've got a little wedge, a piece of wood on there as the handle, but it still turns a little bit. I'll put a tiny little brass screw in there just to, you know, hopefully it won't rust and drip rust into my water. But this actually does turn a little bit, so I may change the handle on this. I'll have to see how it goes. But again, if you're sort of doing something on a budget, you know, if you can't afford stuff or whatever, then it's a sort of a nice little project to knock up, and obviously works together. But what I'm going to do is obviously show you how to make one of these stoves. All right. So what you need, okay, is a couple of fish tins. All right, these were a couple of tuna tins, I believe. And then this one is this had sweet corn in it. All right. When you actually put this tin inside this one, all right, and then put this one on top, you can see that there's still a gap there. All right, so what we're going to obviously have to do is manufacture this tin so that it fits into the second one enough for us to be able to make that close up the gap to be able to extinguish the flame. You haven't got to do this, you can maybe just let the fuel burn out, but I just think when I was intermittently using mine from my own personal experience, I thought it was nice just to extinguish the flame, and then when I wanted to use it again I could obviously reignite it. So the tools for the job: insulating tape, pair of pliers, pair of scissors. It's not Mr. Scissors, just a pair of scissors. Alright, and then finally a Sharpie or just a black marker pen. You haven't got to use the black marker pen. I find that when I was actually manufacturing mine, making mine, what I did was to actually create a nice straight line. That's what I was using the insulating tape for, which will come apparent shortly. And then the only other tool you sort of need is a can opener, and for this I'm using one of the old sort of military style can openers. What we've got to do at this stage is obviously remove this part of the tin, keep that, obviously, that hard rim on there, and we're going to take that one off that end. Are we? Yes, we are. We're going to take that one off that end, which is quite important. So first of all, we're just going to take that bottom part of the lid off. obviously understand, folks, now it's not a bad idea to have a first aid kit or a roll of insulating tape. You've got the roll of insulating tape when you do the project, but you know, working with tin, you're obviously going to potentially cut, you know, you've got that option. Not always, but you could potentially cut yourself, so it makes sense to maybe, you know, wear a pair of gloves, or, you know, you've got that, or even a first aid kit. Right, so we've removed that bit, so we've got that. Then what we're going to do now, then, we're literally going to take that bottom off there. If I can get that in there, that's it. So be gradual with this one now. You can either go around with a can opener. I've bought a set of side cutters, splitters if you like. And we're just going to take that in now, cut that open, and then fold that back. Actually, I'm going to take a bit more out because you won't be able to get the scissors in there. Okay, so we're going to take this bit off there. Alright, now what I found was that when you try and cut from the outside, it seems to be a bit more awkward. But if you cut that way round, inside, it doesn't seem to be much of an issue. At least that's what I think anyway. No, I'm going to have to make that a tiny bit bigger. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll see if I can just use the can opener now rather than mucking around. But this is probably the hardest bit really, I would say, just getting it going. Taking that metal off there. As I say, folks, just be careful with it, yeah? I'll come back to you. Now, I kid you not, when I made my own one, it was really simple to get this bit off. But for some reason, this can must be on steroids or something, so it's proven a little bit more difficult. So what I'm using is obviously the side cutters, and I'm just rolling it reasonably gentle. Obviously, bear in mind where your fingers are. And just splitting that, taking that rim off. Blimey, that was hard work. So right, now we've got that bit removed. Alright, so just for measurement wise now, I'm just going to stick it in there as is. And you see we've already closed the gap up just by removing a certain section of it. But obviously we want to take it down a bit more. So what I'm going to do is, obviously I'm going to use the little grooves that are on the tin. I'm going to use them as my kind of measurement gauge, as it were. So what I'm going to do is put that first tin inside, put the lid on top, and then with the pen, I'm literally just going to mark it inside there. So I've got something like that to work on, yeah? Now you can, if you want, if you've got a good steady hand, it's just basically draw a line all the way around. Or the other option is to use a bit of insulating tape, which is what I'm going to use because I've had a few beers over the last couple of days. And, yeah. I'm going to use a bit of tape. Okay, so I'm not kind of sure. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the tape up to the top groove. It doesn't really matter too much. And we're going to just put it like so, and then wrap it round, keeping it as level as possible as we wrap it round. Cut that off there. Right, so now what I'm going to do then, I'm just going to take the excess of this tin off. As I say, it normally works, I don't know why, but it seems to work out a bit better going from the inside to the outside. Again, folks, please, you know, be aware it's probably as dangerous as working with a knife with a tin can. So I just take excess of that meat off to get us down near the edge of the tape. Alright, something like that, and then now what I can do is obviously cut it down to the edge of the insulating tape. Oh, this is quite cack-handed for me doing it like this. Now a little point to note, don't go using your wife's best scissors or your partner's best scissors. Just buy, I mean, I literally bought this set cheap out of a shop just for this job. Don't use anything too fancy. or if you've got a pair of tin snips, potentially that'll work as well, probably better. I'm just going to take that last bit off there now. Okay, so there we go then. I mean, obviously I'm going to have to tidy that up a little bit, but just to get an idea now, there's the actual port there, and then that lid sits perfect. Oh, that lid sits perfectly on top. Just there it is. It's literally just there. But obviously, if I'm now going to take just a tiny more bit off, it will level it up, and then we'll get that measurement that we wanted. Right. So then, when you're happy with it, that's pretty level. That goes in there like so, and then obviously the lid on top for the extinguisher if you so wish to use it. Now what we need to do, we need to create a couple of sort of cut or little sections where obviously the material, where the alcohol is going to seep through into your material, and obviously for it to ignite, and then for it to ignite, to obviously create the flame that comes through the outside of the tin and between the second tin. Alright, now you can do this a couple of ways. You can either do it with little apexes, little squares. It doesn't really matter, it's totally up to you, but for this particular one I'm going to use apexes. Alright, so now I can take the tape off. You know, if you want to be a little bit more intricate about it, you can draw a couple of little triangles there. Okay, but we're going to do triangles. So I'm literally, where the seam is of the tin, I'm going to do one just here. I'm going to do one the opposite side to it. And then I'm going to do two more opposite. So I've got 4 in there. Bloody hell. Get my fingers wide, don't you? And the last one we're going to go just here on the seam. You know, as I say, I can't keep, saying to you, please be careful. Obviously, being that it is tin and it's going to be very sharp. All right, so now we're almost there. Then the final thing that you need, okay, again I had some of this knocking around in my shed, and this is fiberglass cloth tape. You can use rock wool or anything like that, and literally what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a strip of this off, roll it over, and then literally wrap it around the tin, so obviously it packs out that tin. Alright, so here we go. Yeah, so I'm going to fold it over. Okay, and then I'm going to put it just over the edge of the, if you've got rock wool, then it probably will work better, you'll probably pack it out. But lucky enough, I had some of this stuff knocking around in my shed, and especially when I was doing this sort of the winter months, not too many people are going to be forthcoming with chucking out their house insulation on these colder months. Alright, so now what I'm doing is I've cut off quite a length of this tape. It's not sticky tape, and then I'm just going to wrap it around the bottom. I've folded it in half horizontally, and I literally am just now wrapping it around the tin. Alright, so now we're coming to the end of the tape. The reason why I've done the tape so that the edges face inwards, just so that it kind of hides the frayness of the when it's obviously burning. So as you can see right there right now, okay, we still need to add some more onto that to be able to hold it in the tin snug, not tight but just snug. So again, I've cut another length, so we're going to fold that over. All we're literally just going to do is just sort of overlap it over the top where the joint ends, just something like that, and then obviously just carry on wrapping it round. Reasonably neatly around your tin. Oh, down. What's going on there? Okay, reasonably neatly. So there you have it. Okay, so it's not just going to drop out. I mean, obviously you can use it to adjust. You can pull that middle bit out. We've got the little triangular bits in the bottom there. Okay, and what we're going to do now, we're going to pour some fuel into it and light it. Right, so what we'll do for effect then, we're going to boil up some water in the coffee tin. Okay, pour some water in there. I'm not filling it right up, it's enough just for me to make a brew. Stick the lid back on, set that to one side a sec. Right, okay, so we're going to put some methylated spirits in there. Now when you first use this, okay, don't expect it to sort of ignite straight away, even when you use it after a little while. Just allow it to, it's not a bad idea to pour a little bit of extra methylated spirits in, so you allow it to sort of seep through the triangles into the actual material. And then with a ferro rod or your ignition of choice, there we are. So we've lit it, okay, and then obviously just give it some seconds to obviously absorb through the triangles into the outside material, the fiberglass material that you want to strike. And as you can see there, it's starting to catch on the outside where it's seeping through. Now I'll show you as a quick example, okay, by using this. So again, you can do whatever you like, put a little wooden handle on it, or just leave it like so. Now when I came to just blow it out normally, it wouldn't do, I found it quite difficult to do personally. So what I did then do was think about putting a lid on top, and that has extinguished the flame. Alright, you haven't got to do that, that's just an option if you if you want to do it. And then obviously we'll light it up again, and we're now going to stick our little coffee tin on top, and there it is. So there it is, folks, really. Okay, quite simple and easy project. I've got to admit, I wish I'd done one of these years ago, because I probably wouldn't have ever bought any trangias or any other cookers, because I really like it and I am using it quite a lot. This is the one that I'm taking out with me at the moment, and I really enjoy using it. And I've got to admit, it's got a hell of a lot longer burning time than some other burners. So I'm really chuffed with that. So thanks for watching, folks. All right. Please leave your comments. Let us know if you've come up with any ideas when it comes to making these little alcohol stoves. I'll be glad to hear your feedback and stuff like that. And stay safe, and I'll see you on the next video, folks. Take care.